Hello and a very good morning. I'm Vasundhara from Logistics Insider and I welcome you all to our special LinkedIn Live session today where we will be interviewing a very special guest. As we are all well aware, the aviation industry has performed beyond expectations in serving the nation in its time of need in the fight against COVID-19, especially the cargo faction responsible for transporting essential items and medical supplies to remote parts of our country. In today's session, we would try to touch upon some of the most pertinent topics related to air cargo that stakeholders in the industry would be interested in. We will also try to understand the role of terminals in the efficient transportation of pharmaceutical shipments and the highly anticipated COVID vaccine. Speaking along these lines, it is my pleasure to welcome our guest for today's session, Mr. Saurav Kumar. He is currently serving as the GEO of GMR Hyderabad Air Cargo. As an established supply chain and strategy professional with nearly 2 decades of experience, Mr. Kumar has a demonstrated history of working in the retail, logistics, and aviation industry. His expertise revolves around performance improvement, business planning, business transformation, and strategy. His prowess in the aviation industry as a strong business development and turnaround professional lies unchallenged. And apart from being a prominent voice, he also has a host of accolades and honors to his credit. We are pleased to have you with us, sir.
Thank you, Vasundhara.
Before we begin, I would like to inform our viewers today that we'll also be taking questions from the comments. So please feel free to type in your questions in the comment section below. So, sir, we are expecting good news regarding the COVID vaccine anytime soon. Once it is out, rapid distribution will be the need of the hour and air cargo will play a major role. What do you think will be the role of airports in ensuring an efficient and smooth flow of the vaccine?
Thanks, Vasundhara, for the introduction, and very good morning to you and all the viewers in the LinkedIn Live. It's great to be a part of this session talking about a very relevant subject for all of us, which is air cargo logistics and the movement of the much anticipated COVID vaccine. Now, when we talk about your question where you've asked me to discuss about what would be the role played by the air cargo terminals and the airports in this very important supply chain, we first need to understand what's a vaccine and what are unique requirements of this product. You must be aware that, in air cargo, people export pharmaceuticals, we export engineering goods, electronics, we export for perishable fruits, vegetables, everything. But each product has its own unique characteristics. And in this scheme, vaccine has a very unique place. It requires low temperature. It requires very low temperature. In fact, most of the things that we handle are between 15 to 25 degrees centigrade or ambient temperature. But when it comes to vaccine, they're very temperature sensitive product, which needs to be very carefully handled. The typical temperature range of most of the vaccine is 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. And there is also a proportion of vaccine which requires minus temperatures. So it depends on how the vaccine is produced and what are the logistics requirements and characteristics of the respective vaccine. But from an airport perspective, the first and the foremost thing that we are all ready for is to ensure how we have adequate capacities of handling 2 to 8 degrees centigrade pharma vaccines and also the minus temperature. And this is not easy. Maintaining such low temperatures 24/7 without any break requires huge engineering challenges as well as preparedness. And in this context, I just also want to highlight that Hyderabad airport, I should say probably is the only airport in the country where we export maximum proportion of pharmaceutical products. From our overall export basket, more than 2/3 of that basket consists of only temperature sensitive pharmaceutical products. So while inherently we were all prepared to handle cool cargo, especially vaccine and pharmaceutical. But this movement requires us to additionally plan in 3 to 4 areas. The first area is the time when the vaccine enters the airport. This is a time, and this is a handshake zone wherein the vaccine is unloaded from a vehicle, which is also a cool temperature vehicle, into our premises. That's the first lot, and that is first area where we are enhancing our capacity to make sure that we are able to handle the surge per day, per flight surge that we have estimated of this product. The second important place is once you have downloaded the vaccine or unloaded the vaccine, you need to store it in a temperature that is 2 to 8 or minus as per the specification of vaccine within our terminal. So it requires us to have adequate capacity of 2 to 8 storerooms in the pharma zone. The third and most important, actually it is the most important part because it gets neglected in many cases, is the time when you take this vaccine and palletize it, and you make it into a pallet depending on the aircraft type. So that's the third area where we need to ensure that the temperature integrity is maintained. So the entire cold chain, right up till the aircraft doors, is something that we need to take care of. And in this scenario, in this context, I also want to highlight that just because considering that Hyderabad will be one of the major exporting locations for these vaccines, we have made special arrangements and infrastructure upgrade at all levels, at the acceptance level, at the storage in the warehouse level, at the palletization and post-palletization storage, and also to take it from our warehouse into the aircraft in a temperature control environment. It involves also use of a lot of cool containers, which are active and passive solution that enlarges or enhances the life of these products. So all these are important, and we are all geared up to meet this challenge, Vasundhara.
Thank you, sir, for taking me through the intricacies of the cold chain. It's actually very fascinating to know that we have such a system in place. Speaking of that, sir, this takes me to my next question, which is that recently the GMR Hyderabad International Airport had inducted a unique multi-ULD cool dolly for time and temperature sensitive shipments, such as pharmaceuticals and perishables. So how has this proven to be important in maintaining an unbroken cold chain, like you mentioned?
See, I think the key word here is unbroken, and as a logistics service provider and a part of this important value chain, we have to ensure that the temperature integrity is maintained all across the value chain that each one of us are handling. And if you come talk about air cargo, one of the, I should say, the areas that required more focus as an industry was the time period or the duration of travel from a temperature controlled pharma zone airport till the aircraft door. Now, we should understand that most of the bigger metro airports have about 30 to 40 minutes of travel on the air side, that a product has to move across several kilometers in the air side to reach to the location where the aircraft is standing. In summer, we know what is the temperature that comes across in India, which varies anywhere between 35 to 45 degrees centigrade, depending on the location that you are in. Another important thing is even before the aircraft lands, the product, the export has to be ready, waiting for the aircraft to land. So we are talking about a good 1 hour, 1.5 hours of time. 1.5 hours. At times, it can also be more than that, wherein a product which moves out of a controlled environment has to endure before it gets into another controlled environment, which is inside the aircraft. So traditionally, we have been using cool containers, and we have been using cool sheets and few other solutions like cool boxes to ensure that this journey doesn't dissipate so much of energy to maintain the cold temperature characteristics. But where we realize is that we still need to strengthen this, and that is where we thought of a very unique industry, relevant initiative of introducing cool dollies. there are not many cool
Right.
dollies. There are not even 4 to 5 cool dollies in the country. There are hardly few of the cool dollies which are available. And at Hyderabad, we launched it this month. It is one of the preparedness that initiative for us to be equipping ourselves in handling larger quantity of temperature sensitive vaccines in the coming quarters. And what it does is that
Right.
it's a very custom built strong facility which ensures a low temperature, close to a 0 degree temperature of the product. We can maintain this as long as we want. It can cover 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour time period.
Right.
And
Right.
it's a very high capacity. It can carry up to around anywhere between 6 to 8 tons of cargo at one trip, and is made up of very it's a specifically custom designed to ensure that the heat loss is minimal, and it has auto backup facilities of moving from one mode of power to another mode of power to ensure that there is no gap. So this is called, we have branded it as GMR Cool Dolly, and since our launch we have seen very positive interest from our air cargo trade fraternity, both the freight forwarder agents as well as our valued customers, who have encouraged us to go for it. And also in the near future, we will enhance the capacity of this unique product. Vasundhara.
Thank you, sir, for throwing light into the entire area. So, according to the IATA, the cargo arm of the aviation sector is exhibiting more recovery than the passenger front, although at a slower pace. What steps do you think should be further taken to leverage this? And in addition to that, when do you expect cargo and passenger volumes to return back to the pre-COVID levels?
I think the first part of your question talks about what we should do to leverage where we are. This is a very difficult question and a very interesting question. There has been a lot of learning for air cargo trade, and I want to mention about two learnings. The first thing is, as a country, we were handling bulk of our cargo as a belly cargo. India was a belly cargo destination, was because I think the international air cargo on its full throttle is yet to start, and that's why I'm using that terminology. What we have seen in the last few months is that the freighter capacity out of India has increased significantly. Today, instead of handling say 40%, 30% of capacity of air cargo capacity via the freighters, the freighter handling capacity today stands at 70 to 80%. As a country, we have recovered fairly fast, and we are handling anywhere between 70 to 80% of our pre-COVID levels. But at Hyderabad, yes, we have got little better recoveries. We are close to 90% of our pre-COVID numbers. That speaks a lot of the potential and the stakeholder cooperation that we have got at Hyderabad. Having said so, one important thing to leverage would be how what we have done actually in the last 4 to 5 months for the air cargo can be more sustainable, can be more permanent, which means that globally and all the major operators in the world should look India the way they have looked today, and serving India with a much more enhanced focus, much more enhanced capacity. So we had double the number of freighters coming into the country. We had double the number of new airlines, new operators coming to the country. We never thought that we will have airlines out of China, out of Africa, out of remote corners in Middle East, in Europe, coming to Hyderabad for moving air cargo. Now, if we have to leverage what we have seen, we have to make sure how this becomes a little bit more permanent and shouldn't disappear with the going time. And this requires a lot of initiatives with the exporters, with the agent and freight forwarder community, and us working together to make sure how we can increase the proportion of air cargo handled in India, which is very minuscule. I should say at a global level, our GDP is good, our population is good, our potential is good, but considering the size of our economy and considering the air cargo that we handle, they're disproportionately apart. So this is an important opportunity for all of us to increase the air cargo movement in the country. That is one thing which we should leverage the current situation and make sure that yes, we don't come back to the normal growth curve. We adopt a slightly more exponential growth curve in the next 4 to 5 years. Talking about the next question about when things will normal. As far as air cargo is concerned, already told it is very close to normal. I think as we are looking at the next quarter, we are talking about the volumes returning to normal, and thereon from 2020, I hope some of these will stay back as I should say permanent gains for the air cargo industry and will grow at a faster rate, especially in Hyderabad. And as far as the passenger segment is concerned, you'll be surprised that yes, it was slow, but we see good traction and comeback, especially in the last 4 to 7 weeks. That gives me an optimism that it will come very sooner than what we thought. If people would have thought that it is going to take more than a year, multiple years, I think now I personally am hopeful that we are talking about multiple quarters, not multiple years, for the passenger segment also to come back.
Absolutely. So, sir, do you believe that we are on the right track? We are going forward on the right path?
Yes, I think if you look back and look at the initiatives taken by the industry in terms of technology and sustaining the airlines and the customs and other authorities, in terms of how all of us have come together and solved the problem rather than pointing faults or talking about the problem. All of us have come together and solved the problems, and if they are difficult ones, we are still solving. We are not saying that we have solved all the problems. So it gives me a confidence that we are in the right track, and I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit more about it if you have some questions on that.
Definitely, sir. We have quite a lot of questions. So, sir, digitalization and utilization of technology have been rapidly increasing, and it will certainly gain more prominence in the post-COVID era. So what new digital initiatives do you anticipate in the industry to strengthen its supply chain?
Even before COVID, there was this talk of digitalization in the industry and digital initiatives being taken by various players. What has happened in the last quarters is compressing of those timelines, compressing of those expectations, and also compressing of those deliveries actually happening. So we have just fast forwarded our digital journey, all of us as an industry. And if somebody was talking about migrating from one platform to another to get certain benefits in say timeline of 2 years, 3 years, I think people are now talking about 2 quarters or 3 quarters as to how we all adopt the digital, how we accelerate the digital journey that the air cargo industry was already on it. 2-3 key points to be noted here. The first is that all of us, and as a trade, we no more are looking forward to too much of a physical contact or paper handling or coming to a particular office or a particular location to do our work. It's a cultural change as well, and it has driven all of us into working out ways where everything moves on to a digital platform. For an air cargo perspective, we are talking about making all the filings and submissions to the authorities, all the documents that are required for processing cargo through air cargo terminal and custodian. Everything moves into a digital platform wherein people sitting in their offices, sitting in their home, should be able to process the entire trade, get all the things, whether it is approvals, whether it is acceptance, whether it is some certificate of origin, or you name about a paper. whether it is issuance of out of charge, everything is moving very fastly into this digital platform. So that is one trend wherein it's only the goods. See, actually we all should be worried only about moving the goods, not moving anything other than the goods. That is the ultimate aim. And so that's one point. The second point is the need of information, and related to it is the need of visibility. uh, these two are very important and related aspect, wherein people, since their expectation is that they will not be there in the terminal, in the offices, in the premises where they generally go. The visibility and the need of information has to be very, very accurate and real time. This requires all of us to ensure that we capture accurate information, timely information. And also it requires a step before it, that we capture information at the right touch points. For us to create an information highway. And why I'm saying information highway, because it has to be fast, real time, and it should connect all the people in the value chain of the air cargo movement. So the visibility and the accuracy of the data, real time nature of the data, that is another characteristics that is driving improvements. The third digitalization aspects in the air cargo is more about automation and productivity improvement. Traditionally, we have the major cargo hubs, global hubs, which are very efficient. They have a good level of automation and with higher productivity levels. It requires industry to mature from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. The third trend which I see, which is not very prominent as of now, but in about a year's time, we will have a lot of things where the measures would be more in terms of how productive in terms of time, cost, and resource allocation has this digital initiative been able to deliver. So that's and related to it is automation of various processes which are currently manual processes. So these three are the defining aspects in the journey of digital transformation of our industry. And I'm happy to share that on all those three fronts, as GMR Hyderabad Air Cargo, we have our ball set rolling. We should be the pioneers and should be able to drive these transformation lessons across the industry.
Thank you, sir. I'm really happy to know that such advancements have taken place. So the notion of digital India has definitely materialized from being just an idea in the past. So
Yes.
speaking about GMR Hyderabad, almost a year ago, GMR Hyderabad Air Cargo started operations of the Hyderabad Cargo Charter Circle (HC3), which is a dedicated platform to facilitate cargo charter operators via Hyderabad Air Cargo Terminal. In a move to develop Hyderabad as an air charter hub, how is the initiative working out for you?
So I'm glad you brought the topic of HC Cube, and we have a good story around HC Cube, and it's called HC Cube. There's a lot of groundwork we did about a year back when we conceptualized this industry unique initiative, and we named it as Hyderabad Cargo Charter Circle, HCCC, which is what is HC Cube, is what we call internally. So when we looked at the air cargo opportunity in India and the space, what we realized is that there are a lot of scheduled movement of air cargo, but the non-scheduled movement, the charter operations, what we call, wherein big aircrafts come into a particular port for carrying a particular cargo. It picks up that cargo and goes mostly directly to the destination. That something was lacking, both at an India level, as well as we thought that it has a lot of potential considering its strategic south central location, wherein if you know Hyderabad, it's on a plateau and it's very central to the South India. So if you look at the distance, we Delhi, 45 minutes to 50 minutes. We reach Chennai, same time to Bangalore, same time to Bombay, Mumbai. So we thought that why not work on this initiative that in addition to the scheduled freighter, we should encourage the charters to come to India. I think our objective was charters should come to India. They should come to North India, South, East, West. And yes, in South Central, yes, the Hyderabad, because of its advantage, is something that we are developing. So we went around, looking at all the similar initiative across the globe and taking the learnings. And then we framed a unique program, and we kept it quite differentiated in terms of very specific benefits that we are giving to the charter operators. Additional, I should say, dwell time that we are giving to the exporters, as well as from a perspective of freight forwarders. There is some very specific facilitation at the air cargo terminal. So we designed a program that should have a value proposition for the air cargo operators, that should have a value proposition for the air cargo trade and freight forwarder, as well as to the exporter. And that is when it will succeed. Our objective was to triple the number of charters, 3 times the number of charters that comes to Hyderabad in a time frame of about 2 years. With that objective, we took up this program. It has been fairly successful. We have already crossed the 2x mark of getting the number of charters. We have actually got charters operating out of Hyderabad to Africa, to Middle East, parts of Middle East, to CIS and north of India, and to Southeast Asia as part of this program. And the customers have also discovered an alternate or a suite offering wherein they can now plan for an alternate price point, an alternate schedule to pack their entire 110 tons, 105 tons at one go in a 747 and ship it to wherever they want. So we hope that the industry will take advantage, and we look forward to working very closely with all the 3 major stakeholders in taking this HC Cube to the next level.
Thank you, sir, for sharing that with us. It is really pleasing to know that such advancements and such strides are being made. Sir, as a cargo custodian and someone who is at the helm of key decision-making process, which we found out, what are the initiatives that you've taken for trade facilitation, particularly of air cargo?
So, should I answer it in the current context of the last 6 months, 7 months, or you want
Definitely.
it to be generic? How do you? Okay.
Sir,
so I'll give you.
We're happy with whatever you have to offer.
See, I think trade facilitation, along with addressing and meeting the customer, are 2 major pillars for us, which drives our working here, which drives our initiatives. When we talk about trade facilitation, I think we'll have to put ourselves into the shoes of the trade, members of the trade. The members of the trade covers statutory authorities, PGAs. They cover the freight forwarders and the agents. They cover the airlines, and they cover the customers, either exporters or importers, consignee, whatever we call it. So, in the from a trade facilitation perspective, I think if you, and I want to just keep it contextual to the last 6 months or 6 months or so of our experience, wherein actually this was put to test. Prior to that, it was a part of our motto or a working approach, but this aspect of trade facilitation across, not alone for the Hyderabad market, but across for the industry as a whole, was put to test in the last 6 months. The first 2 months, and I break it into 3 parts just to tell you how it has evolved. The first 2 months was about continuity. It's very important word when we say that how do we ensure that the air cargo was continuous, uninterrupted, it went on and on without interruption. And that is what is characterized in the first 2 months, which is the month of March, April, May, wherein we all work together to ensure that as a part of trade facilitation, there's a continuity, and that was the biggest, I should say, mind concern or the keyword. As part of that, we ensured available 24/7 cargo terminal operations on ensuring that the required adequate number of resources are there. We made facilitation to ensure that the members of trade who needs to come into the terminal, to the regulatory offices, we facilitated those movement. We worked with the local authorities to make sure that there are the hindrances on the on movement of goods into Hyderabad airport, or whether it is on the road or interstate movements, are addressed. In fact, personally issuing, taking approvals and issuing the facilitating documents to the entire trade of Hyderabad. Also making sure that adequate level of health and hygiene is maintained. We actually made a lot of our employees to change where they stay, the way they work, to acclimatize them to this new normal. And there was a lot of challenge, and I want to highlight the silver lining that the entire trade was together, and we were able to run Hyderabad airport cargo 24/7 without stopping it even for a single day, when actually employees were not able to move. So that was the initial phase, and it's gone now. We moved to a phase wherein we moved to a second phase where we started. We wanted to sustain what we have been able to do. Sustain, when I say sustain, that yes, we have been able to handle the cargo, but we should consistently be able to handle that cargo and also address the growing needs. And that required another set of challenge of ramping up our resources in the constrained environment. That phase, as part of the trade facilitation, we had several rounds of stakeholder meeting to discuss what kind of support each one of us have to do to ensure that we meet out the requirements of customers, because the production will not stop for months together. It has to happen. So from moving from those those phases, I think today we are seeing the light, wherein we have now moved into a growth phase, and all of us are talking trade facilitation for the movement of pharma and for the movement of vaccine, a seamless, a hassle-free movement. A movement which doesn't require enough of procedural aspects that reduces or blocks the movement of cargo or creates any stopping point for the cargo. So we are working out with the trade just to make sure now how do we take it, how do we keep growing and make sure that at Hyderabad we deliver a seamless experience with the required level of reliability and infrastructure availability to handle the upcoming pharma and vaccine shipment. So so I've just taken you through the journey without getting too much, but I'm will understand and viewers will understand the journey that has happened in the last 6-7 months for all of us as an industry.
Indeed, sir. That was indeed very interesting because most of us don't know what actually happens, because we don't have much accounts to know from. So we'll be taking a question from the comment section, which one of our viewers have jotted down. It's from Shailendra Singh. His question is regarding new players wanting to enter the market. So his question is, with airline industry facing operational cost issues, and we have seen Jet Airways going bankrupt, the airline which contributed significant to air cargo industry, and also seeing Air India facing similar issues. So he wants to know, what is your opinion if new player wants to enter the market?
So I think we should understand that if a new player wants to enter the market, it will enter with a longer horizon. Aviation industry has been in the country for more than 5-6 decades. So the time frames that we should not color our mindset and view with what we have seen in the recent past. You look at air cargo as an industry. For example, if you want to enter an industry, suppose I want to enter a new industry, I will see it from a long-term perspective. I will see what is the potential of that industry to grow in the future. That is one thing. And the second thing I will see is what are the emerging trends that will facilitate me to realize that opportunity. And this I'm taking from external perspective. I'm not talking about the internal competency elements or strategy elements. So if you see from those two things, and I want to tell you the passenger and the cargo industry in air cargo industry and the passenger industry in the country has grown significantly. From nowhere, today we are among the top 5 markets of aviation. And if you look at the next 5 to 10-year horizon, we will be the top 2 or 3 market globally. If you look at the per capita travel of the passengers, or if you look at per capita movement in terms of volume of air cargo, we are nowhere to what even a semi-developed economy is. We are all as an economy moving around that direction, and I'm very clear, very clear and optimistic and sure, confident that new players can enter. They have to just think about two things: the timing of the entry, their ability to sustain, if there are initial hiccups in the first few quarters, and their differentiating strategy in the market. Otherwise, this has to be done. This is the initial part of due diligence. Yes, and the industry has huge potential about it. There's no doubt.
Right. I hope that answers his question. Sir, as we are approaching towards the end of today's session, I have final 2 questions for you. One is, what does the future look like for the air cargo industry? And going ahead, what are the defining trends that you see shaping the industry? Your 2 cents on that.
Yeah, Basundhara, I will answer that point. I think I am seeing some good, interesting questions about jump in cargo volume during festival season, and also about sector's potential to generate jobs. I'll not take much time, just 30 seconds. I think the aviation industry is one of the manpower intensive industry. So it has a very variety of skill sets that is required. So that is something that I just want to leave a message here, that there is a good potential there. And also, I think festive season, the e-commerce players, we're all geared up. In fact, special arrangements, for all the e-commerce players are at work to make sure that customers don't get compromised or delayed for their festive orders. So I think, I just thought I'll answer some of those interesting questions. Coming to your question on the defining trends. The first trend I see is that it will grow rapidly. We all have to be ready to manage that growth in terms of planning for the future, both in terms of resources, manpower, and capacity. It will grow. The second defining aspect I see that it will not grow the way it has grown. The growth will be characterized by specific interventions in technology, and also in terms of the way it is connected. It will not be only traditional belly capacity, passenger aircraft coming into a location, you fill the passenger belly and it goes. I think it will be more than that, that we need to be looking at. The third thing I see is on the human resource development and training part. There will be a lot of stress on sector specific and segment specific skill set. Many players will get into this domain of imparting knowledge and developing a pool to cater to the industry. These 3 are broad, but they are very deep trends which I see in the next 2 to 4 years perspective. So India, Hyderabad, air cargo industry, all of us will grow.
Right, sir. That looks very optimistic. And speaking of questions from the audience section, sir, you can go ahead and take any question which you think is relevant for you, or which you would want to answer. I leave it to your discretion.
Yeah, I think there's a question on is there any possibility of freight costs being reduced? I think one key subject that we have not touched upon is the freight cost. Yeah. People have this impression generally that air freight is very expensive, but I think the correct word is that air freight, because the capacity don't change so rapidly, the pricing tend to be very variable. If air freight is expensive inherently, you will not have air freight across the world. Millions, hundreds of millions of tons is moving by air freight across the world. So we have to see air freight with a contextual window of what we are talking about, what is the macro environment, and what is that which we are trying to export or import, because it's not necessary what goes by a ship has to go via air. Bulk, Paul, your coal, steel, all those bulk cargo goes by ship, and also container. There are a mixed kind of cargo goes by container, but air cargo has its own segment, which has its own price point. And I thought I'll just speak on this subject because many times people speak about air cargo being expensive and prohibitive in costs.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
I've answered most of the other questions, which is related to our subject today, Vasundhara.
Okay, sir. And the last thing which I would want to know is that the pandemic was unforeseen and not even the best business strategists could have predicted what to expect. As the Chief Executive Officer, how have you managed to steer your operations through such unprecedented times?
See, I'll answer it very briefly on this.
Definitely.
And the key point here is, as somebody heading an air cargo operation, which is 24/7, there's a lot of movement of goods, there's a lot of interaction with the trade, customers, and the regulatory authorities. I think the key thing where we focused, I should say, as an organization, is on our people and on our stakeholders. It is very important.
Right.
Ensuring the well-being of our staff, ensuring that we are able to take care of them, leverage their abilities in this difficult time, because nobody outsider will come and start helping you out through this. It's your own employees and own staff, and I'm quite thankful to the entire team spirit that has been demonstrated in that's my personal experience. The second important thing is engaging with the stakeholders. Air cargo,
Right.
unlike many of the industries, very intertwined. As a cargo terminal, as a cargo airport, as a custodian, we can't on our own make things to work. It has to the engagement, the collaborative, and I'm using the word the collaborative effort with a common objective to make sure things move, is very, very important thing that we focused and that has helped us. And third thing is essentially the response of our infrastructure and IT. Suddenly we came across a situation where all the workforce started working from home. So
Right.
responding very fast, rapid response of organization to change our processes, maintaining its sanctity, and in aligning our IT infrastructure and resources, have been the three major learnings, or I should say messages or aspect, that has helped us as an organization. And yes, answering your question, me as somebody who is looking after this in Hyderabad.
Thank you, sir. As we approach the end of today's session, I would once again like to extend my gratitude to the people associated with this sector. And thank you, sir, for this extremely enlightening session. I hope this conversation benefits a lot of our viewers. You've also raised and highlighted very pertinent points, and I'm sure it will be really beneficial for people who are curious to know what the future holds for the industry. And thank you for taking the time off your busy schedule. I look forward to more such enlightening discussions with you. And I also would like to thank our viewers for their participation and their questions. And also thank you for being a part of this discussion. With this, we take our leave. Thank you and have an amazing day ahead.
Thanks to all the viewers for engaging with us and Logistics Insider in discussing and sharing the thoughts on this subject. Thanks to Vasundhara and all the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you.